Directly in front of us here on the corner of Geneva and Webster is intended to become a medical and professional office building. We're going to preserve the existing building, restore the facade, preserve kind of the modernist architecture that's there. Our architect, Solomon Cordwell Benz, who are local guys, really felt that that building, of all the buildings on site, has the most architectural integrity and want to work with it. That said, the plan is to open up the ground level, make it a little more inviting, enhance the streetscape, really work on planting, getting some greenery there, and focus the entrance on the intersection so that it doesn't draw commercial use east on Webster. We want to keep it focused on the commercial corridor of Lincoln Avenue. Then directly behind that building you see 550 Webster. Most people refer to that as the main hospital building. That building was built in the 70s, and it is one of the more brutal examples of architecture in Chicago.
A little too many windows to be pure brutalist.
It is, but those windows are pretty foreboding from the inside too, with big locks and hardware on them. The plan there is to completely remove the existing facade and replace it with a new masonry facade that is compatible with the surrounding architecture. And in that building will be approximately 120 for sale condominium residences and the amenities that go with the condominium building. All the parking for the residential units on the entire site will be housed underground underneath these existing structures in what's now the existing basement. And the entrance to the parking garage will be off of Webster for all of the units. So we're going to consolidate the curb cuts that exist there. Plan is to get rid of the existing service drive that is just east of the building and bring that all interior to the building. Also, deliveries and stuff will all be internal to the building, so they won't be happening on the streets. And the vehicles that come, the FedEx, the UPS deliveries, all will come and be able to turn around in an interior courtyard, which is going to be created by demolishing all of the buildings to the north of these two buildings. So everything behind here is going to be taken down completely. What it is actually a series of about 3 or 4 buildings that were built over a long period of time, and they really don't function that well for what they are, but they don't function at all in a reuse situation. And then across the street, across Webster Street to the south, in the parking garage right now, we're going to keep the existing parking. It will be reduced by some number of spaces from the existing in order to convert the western portion of the first floor to the Fresh Market grocery store. The grocer will occupy about 12,000 square feet of sales floor, total of about 20,000 feet inside that building. And we're very excited to bring the Fresh Market to Lincoln Park. It's our first infill store here, and they're very excited about the concept as well. And we think that people in the neighborhood walking around will really enjoy having that as a benefit, and it will really enrich the experience for everyone in the neighborhood.
The last plans I saw were for a green roof on that garage also.
The entire roof is a green roof except for a small mechanical penthouse, which will be set back as far as possible, and the neighboring property is acoustically shielded. But that's about a 35,000 square foot space up there that gets a fully planted green roof, which is also visible to all of the surrounding neighbors there. There will be green roof throughout the project. The whole project will be LEED certified. And in addition to LEED certification, the reuse of the existing buildings, we are not planning on having to do any deep foundations for any buildings, no caissons, no sheet piling, no pounding into the ground.
So the neighbors don't have to worry about their homes collapsing? Or
impact on the neighborhood is much less, and the time it takes to get the project done is greatly reduced, so that provided the market conditions allow and we can sell and lease what's here, which we've had very strong interest in already. We'd like to see this project completed once we get all the approvals in place. We think it's approximately a 3-year project. Well, you can see here is we're on Grant Place, and this building here is a combination of buildings. The building on the corner has been rebuilt several times. This last iteration was built in 1983, and the building next to it that it lines up with dates back to 1928. The buildings inside resemble very little of what's on the outside, and they surround a combination of mechanical and boiler equipment. There's a smokestack back there. The whole factory of the hospital, all the plant and equipment was back there. So all of that stuff is coming down, all the way down. We'll keep the foundations in the ground to use to retain the earth, so we don't have to put in new earth retaining structures. And that'll be cleared all the way back to the buildings on Webster. So that whole area comes down and will be replaced with the building, which is more appropriate for the scale of a residential street. Put a residential setback on the building, plant it on both sides, plant on this side to kind of separate it from the other uses on the site, keep this as residential and make it distinct versus the office use or the grocery use on the other side in the parking, kind of keep everything together. We're going to set it back commensurate with the other neighbors on the block, and it will allow light and plantings here throughout. And we're excited to how this change will really keep and maintain the residential character of the neighborhood.